Hey friends, I'm Stacy and this is Gorgeously Aging. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys, it has been 4 weeks since my surgery. I went to Turkey, to Istanbul, and had a tummy tuck with muscle repair, a 360 body lift, liposuction, and a tiny bit of BBL in my backside. That's natural fat, my own fat, being placed into my backside just to improve the contour. For those of you brand new, I've had about an 80-pound weight loss over the past year, and I did this surgery mostly to get rid of the loose skin and improve my overall shape. I am a 53-year-old mother of 4, grandmother of 3, and actually the tummy tuck with muscle repair is something I've wanted to do since my youngest daughter was born, and that was 20 years ago. Like so many moms, I had a really hard time justifying spending the money, but we've gotten to a point in our life where it was feasible. My husband really encouraged me. We've also both wanted to travel to Istanbul, and after a ton of research, I settled on Dr. B at Aesthetic International. Turkey is one of the world's best destinations for body contouring, and it just was the right fit for me. So make sure you stay tuned through the whole video, especially the end, where I will include things not to do while you're recovering from surgery. But I'm going to go week by week and just explain the recovery and maybe what you should know if you are considering a tummy tuck surgery or a body lift or liposuction, any of the things included in my surgical package. This would be helpful if you are considering. For those of you who are maybe unfamiliar with what a body lift, often called a 360 body lift or lower body lift, it's basically an incision around your torso, pulling up your skin, kind of like pulling up the pants. This is especially helpful if you are older and have a lot of loose skin, or if you've had a significant weight loss. Originally, I was just interested in a tummy tuck, but the more we discussed my situation, Dr. B suggested that a body lift was really the best way for me to get the results that I wanted. Otherwise, we would tighten up that front section in the abdomen with a tummy tuck and muscle repair, and I'd have looser skin kind of around the rest of my torso. I'm so glad that he pointed me in the right direction for a surgery package that worked best for me to get the results that I was looking for. So whether you're traveling abroad or you're having surgery close to home, hopefully this information will be helpful in planning for surgery and also as you're recovering from surgery. The more you know going into your surgery and the more you're prepared for your recovery and what to expect, the easier the recovery process is. So in that first week, I was lucky enough to spend 3 nights in the hospital in Turkey. I know in the United States, they don't generally keep you that long, so definitely listen to your surgeon's advice and instructions. While I was in the hospital, they constantly monitored my blood pressure and vitals. They did blood work just to make sure my blood values were good. I was a little low in hemoglobin, so they did give me iron through the IV. I also got fluids and pain medication also through my IV, so they were able to keep me relatively comfortable in those first 3 days, which I think are probably the most painful. My surgery was a long one. It was 6.5 hours long, so it does become a little more complicated coming out of general anesthetic the longer that you've been under. I was really grateful to have that care in the hospital. My husband was also with me, so I had a lot of support between him and the hospital staff. One of the first things I noticed after surgery, aside from some discomfort, was dizziness. Dizziness is really prevalent and common right after surgery. I definitely had very low blood pressure and, of course, low hemoglobin, and that does contribute to the dizziness. The very first time I tried to stand up, I kind of had the room spinning and I just wasn't able to walk much. In fact, I stood up for maybe 20 seconds and then sat back down. The next time I tried to get up, I was feeling much better. I was able to walk from my bed to the door, and gradually each time I got up, I was able to walk a little farther, of course, with assistance. You'll definitely be hunched over after a tummy tuck surgery, and even with my 360 incision all the way around my body, I was hunched over because of the muscle repair in the abdomen. My surgeon did recommend that I try to stand up a little more upright, and you would think that this would maybe rip your sutures or affect your incision, but the incision is generally done really well, where you can gradually, not quickly, not aggressively, but gradually start to stand more upright. Don't get me wrong, you'll still be kind of naturally hunched over, But if you can kind of try to lift up your head and straighten up a little bit each time that you walk, it'll prevent back pain, and you'll definitely start to feel like you can stand upright more quickly. The longer you stay hunched over, the more you want to stay hunched over, if that makes sense. It's really important to drink plenty of water after surgery, stay hydrated, and focus on nutrition. They really helped me in those first three days with good nutrition provided by the hospital, but I made sure to have Greek yogurt and plenty of good proteins as I was healing beyond those first 3 days in the hospital. On the third day after surgery, they did help me in the hospital to take a shower, which felt fantastic, but that was the first day that water hit my incisions, was the third day after. It was right after they took out my drains. Now definitely consult with your surgeon, because each surgeon may have different recommendations based on the surgeries you're having and based on your specific needs. On the day I was discharged, I was taken back to my hotel in Istanbul, where my husband and I recovered in the hospital for a full week. It was a week total from the day of surgery, so I spent 3 days in the hospital and then the rest of that week in the hotel before we flew back to the US. During those days, I was still getting up when I could, walking or pacing in the hotel, trying to put my shoulders back and not be so hunched over. Granted, I was a little bit hunched, but I was each time trying to stand a little bit more upright. I did sleep a lot in that first week, and this is important because your body's going through a lot after surgery. It's a major surgery. There's a lot of internal trauma that is healing. So listen to your body. Sleep as much as you can, drink a lot of water, and take whatever medications and supplements your doctor prescribes. While I was in the hotel, I had antibiotics to take, some pain medication, I had an anti-swelling supplement, and I'll list a similar supplement down in the description box below that helps with swelling. Now, there will be swelling through the healing process, and it may increase and get worse before it gets better. I definitely had some more swelling when I got back to the hotel, especially right after walking, and even when I got back home to the United States, the swelling got a little worse before it started to get better. Wearing your faja as prescribed, for me it was 24/7. I'm still, after 4 weeks, wearing it 24/7, and you may even need to consider sizing down as the swelling goes down. I've purchased like 4 or 5 different fajas. I'll list the ones that I've purchased down below, but I did go down a size because in that first few weeks your swelling will reduce and you may need a smaller faja, because if it's loose and not giving you adequate compression, it's not going to help in your healing, it's not going to maintain your shape, and it is not going to help with swelling. So definitely in that first week, get on some stool softeners and fiber supplements right away. You can also encourage bowel movements through your nutrition, but I found a stool softener and fiber supplements, I'm actually taking up like a fiber gummy, was very helpful. You definitely don't want to get backed up or avoid going number 2 because you're afraid it's going to hurt, because that will make it so much worse. Definitely take care of that sooner than later, because if you get constipated, which is common, especially on pain meds, it will hurt. So definitely tackle that right away. You can ask your surgeon about it before you leave the hospital, but don't delay on getting on something that will help soften your stool and make going to the bathroom so much easier. Ask your surgeon how he wants you to sleep. Now, my doctor told me that I could sleep on my sides, and that was actually the most comfortable. When you're on your side and your knees are slightly up, it's kind of like being in a reclining chair, but on your side. That position was comfortable for me, and it allows for circulation. I did also lay on my back with my head elevated on a couple pillows and another pillow under my knees for some elevation of my legs. So you may have to experiment with how you can sleep comfortably. I did buy like an outside patio chair that's like a zero gravity chair, and I have that in my living room. And so I can recline in that during the day when I need breaks. And that's a really affordable way to get into a good healing position if you don't have a reclining chair. So depending on the extent of your surgery, with me having a lot of work done, both with the tummy tuck, muscle repair, 360 body lift, some liposuction, and some BBL, I was significantly bruised. So that bruising lasts for 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even longer, depending on the severity of the bruising. So definitely expect expect there to be some bruising, and that will fade. Each day you'll start to see that fading. It took me about 3 weeks for all of that bruising to go away. Each person heals from bruising differently, so if it takes longer or if the bruising goes away sooner, that's totally normal. Don't expect your healing timeline to be exactly the same as somebody else. Week 2, you definitely start moving around so much better. You're going to be slow in your walking, and you may sometimes still have residual dizziness, especially if you're dehydrated or if you're still taking prescribed pain medication. You'll definitely start to see your abdomen looking a little different each time you look in the mirror. This is where I started to get really excited about the results, because I could see less of that swelling. This will also be reflected in the scale. You might find when you first get home from surgery, you actually weigh more than you did before the tummy tuck, and this is just your body holding onto fluids and all of that swelling. In the second and third week, as the swelling improves, you'll start to see the number on the scale dropping as that swelling is reduced. I personally don't like to take narcotic pain medication, so in the second week, I started not taking it and just took Tylenol. I have a really high threshold for pain. My family actually says I have a freakishly high threshold for pain, and I don't like how I feel on narcotics. It makes my stomach sick and it makes me really dizzy, and I'm really foggy. I'm not clear-headed in my thinking, and so I stopped taking that in the second week. Now, for those who need it, definitely take it. It is very helpful in your recovery to be comfortable, to be able to sleep comfortably. So just because I stopped taking it in the second week doesn't mean that anybody else should. Really, each person is different. I felt just fine to quit taking the prescribed pain meds and just use Tylenol. Oddly, although my abdominal swelling was going down, I did start noticing more pressure in my legs, more leg swelling, and I felt this in the veins of my legs. It was almost a feeling like I had when I was pregnant, and my legs were swollen and my veins kind of hurt in my legs toward the later parts of pregnancy. And I'm assuming that this is because your lymphatic system is damaged during a tummy tuck surgery, and the body lift damages it all the way around. And it takes time for that lymphatic system to fully repair itself. So leg swelling is a normal part of recovering from a tummy tuck surgery and a body lift surgery, and so that's to be expected. I do lymphatic massage every day on myself. I paid really close attention when they did it for me in the hospital, and I just mimic what was done there. And so after a shower, I do lymphatic massage gently on my abdomen, and I've started doing it a bit more on my legs. I also lay flat on my bed with my legs kind of up on the headboard just to help with the leg swelling and pressure. You know, this can be done whenever you have time. I notice I'm a little more swollen after I've moved around and gotten some exercise, when I've walked around the house a little bit or paced around to get my circulation going. Then I notice I have a bit more swelling in both my abdomen and my legs, which is totally normal. As far as showering, I am using an antibacterial soap. It's the Heba Cleanse soap. I just use that on my incision area and just a regular body cleanser on the rest of my body. Rinse it thoroughly and let it dry completely before I cover it with fresh new surgical tape. And now that I'm at 4 weeks, I can finally use a scar tape, and my scar is looking pretty good. It's a little red, but everything is looking to be healed up really nicely. And so I think the key is to cleanse the scar area, make sure it's thoroughly dried, and I liked covering it so that when I wore my faja, nothing was irritating the scar. I've tried a couple different scar tapes, like the silicone scar tapes, now that I'm at week 4, and I found one that's really good, and I'll list that down below. I found some that are really thick or feel gummy, and I just don't like them. They like bunch up under the faja, and I think it was a complete waste of money. So I'll definitely note the one that I use and like now that I'm 4 weeks past surgery. So don't forget to get up and move around. It's so important for circulation and for swelling, and just to build your stamina. You're going to be tired for weeks, if not months after surgery. That fatigue will gradually improve, but getting up and walking is so important. Now that I'm off of pain meds, I've actually found that I really enjoy going to Target. I can drive just fine. I can get out of the car. I can get into Target without assistance. I mean, once you get to the time that you're off your pain meds, you'll find that you crave getting out of the house, or at least I do. So I'd go to Target and push the cart around, which helps with stability. I no longer have dizziness, or it's very rare to feel dizzy. And I enjoy just pushing the cart around Target, grabbing a few groceries, and just looking around, feeling like I'm not just cooped up in the house. That's kind of been a saving grace to me. You don't have to even go and spend much money. I'll go and just get like coffee and milk or just a few odds and ends that we need, because you can't be lifting a lot of heavy stuff. So when I go, it's not to get like a week's worth of groceries. It's kind of more for the walking and pushing the cart and just browsing around and grabbing a few odds and ends that we need. The cart definitely offers you that stability, and I just enjoy it. It's like, even if I don't really have to go to Target for something, I'll just go just to walk around. I started doing this in the second week, and it was something that I looked forward to. So as much as you need to rest and focus on nutrition and hydration and keep your legs up, there are times that you do need to kind of get that circulation going, get a little bit of exercise. And if you have a Target or Walmart or store near you that has carts that you can push, whether you go by yourself or you take somebody with you, it definitely mentally is something that has helped me not feel depressed, because a long healing time frame can sometimes feel a little depressive, or it can make you feel in a major funk, and finding ways to get out of that funk is so helpful. Feeling a little depressed or feeling really fatigued and tired, which in itself makes you feel down, it's normal after a big surgery like this. So if you have those down days, just remember that in the grand scheme of things, when you look back at this time, although it feels so long right now, it will feel like nothing when you look back in the future, look back to this time. Your body is going through so much in this healing process. So just remember that all these feelings of fatigue and tiredness and maybe feeling a little down, it's all so normal when you're going through this huge recovery. Something I wanted to mention, now I can't physically overeat because I did have a gastric sleeve surgery, but it's not uncommon for people when they're recovering from surgery to have that desire to maybe boredom eat or comfort eat. Don't eat for comfort or out of boredom. Remember, it's so important to eat healthy foods. Stock up on good healthy foods that you enjoy. For me, that's Greek yogurt. I like chicken breast. My daughter made some salmon last night. She's home for the summer. I love salmon. Some fruits that you enjoy, especially berries that are low glycemic, strawberries, blueberries, but avoid processed foods. Focus on hydration and really fueling your body for a good recovery with super good clean foods. Now, if you make a mistake and have a snack once in a while that's not necessarily healthy, it's not the end of the world, but remind yourself that your healing process and your results are going to depend on making those good choices. And so fight that urge to boredom eat, stress eat, or just eat out of emotion while you're going through recovery. Week 3 is a turning point. It is where your swelling starts to really show some reduction, your bruises are gone, and you start to really see more clear results. Your faja starts fitting looser, and you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll definitely be moving around better, you won't be as hunched over, and you'll notice that things are starting to move in the right direction. You're definitely healing, and mentally this is such a game changer, at least it was for me. For those of you who have desk jobs, you're probably back to work in the second or third week, and if you have a more physically demanding job, you're probably going to need a little more time off. So check with your surgeon and see what they think. I definitely would not have been able to do a physically demanding job in the first 3 weeks, maybe even first month. Now that I'm a full month out, I can probably do more physical things, but definitely I wouldn't be able to lift anything heavy. So I have a desk job as a content creator. I'm on my computer. I can work from home. Currently, I'm at my office. So I did drive to my office today, which is up 2 flights of steps. I was able to get up those steps slowly, but comfortably. And I'm definitely able to do my normal things, just with some modifications. I don't have quite as much energy, and I'm still being cautious because I'm not 100% healed. But life is looking more normal for me now after 4 weeks. And so at the 3rd week mark, definitely check with your surgeon and listen to your own body as far as, are you healed enough and are you capable of doing your job? So some people can go back after a tummy tuck as soon as a week. And me with a tummy tuck, muscle repair, body lift, liposuction, that would have been a bit hard. I think mentally I wasn't quite focused enough. I still felt so fatigued after 7 days after surgery. I think 2 weeks is where I started to feel more just clear and able to create content in a clear and focused way. Remember, when you're feeling better, not to overdo it, because it's easy to be excited to do more normal things, to be social with people, or maybe do things that you enjoyed doing before. But definitely be cautious because you don't want to have a setback. You want your recovery to keep moving forward in a positive direction. You don't want to jump ahead and do too much and then have a setback that just causes you to feel depressed that you maybe weren't listening to your body enough. So in week 4, you will definitely start feeling more resilient. You'll have a little bit more energy, or at least I have. I'm sleeping so much better at night. I'm able to move around pretty comfortably in bed. Because I have the body lift, I do notice a little tension on my back with certain movements, but as far as the front and the abdominal sutures for the tummy tuck, that's healing up really well, and I don't really feel tension in that area. There's definitely still some residual swelling, and that can be months long, that it ebbs and flows with movement, and when you're up moving around, you're going to feel a little bit more abdominal swelling and leg swelling, and that's why the faja is still so important. Now, my surgeon says they'd like to do 24/7 or see me wearing my faja for 24 hours a day, except for when I'm showering, for 8 weeks, but I may go as long as 3 months. Or I may gradually kind of wean off wearing that faja after the 8-week mark, but still wear it to control swelling and add support. This is something that you really should consult your surgeon on, but I think some surgeons don't recommend it long enough. So it really can't hurt you to wear it longer than their recommendation. Like I always say, check with your surgeon. I want to make sure I get the best results for the money I invested in this surgery. And so I want to make sure I have the support, the compression to help with that swelling and help to heal that lymphatic system. And so I feel like I may wear it longer than what my surgeon recommends. I'm definitely feeling more positive, more like myself. And just overall, I'm looking now at the results where you don't necessarily see a clear picture of what the results might be at first when you're bruised and swollen. But now at the 1-month mark, I'm just absolutely thrilled at what I'm seeing. Now I know that I will keep healing and it will keep improving in the next several months. It can take up to a full year to see your full healed results, but each day, each week, and each month gets better. I've been able to go back to the gym and walk very slowly on the treadmill at a 0 elevation, and I can do that for about 10 minutes at a time, and I'll gradually increase as my body allows, but I'm not pushing it. So in addition to walking around the house, I am going to the gym as often as I can, hopefully 5 days a week. I just started back now at the 1-month mark. Yesterday was my first day at the gym, and it felt so good to be among other people, just to be out and to be on the treadmill listening to some good music. And I only walked like 2.5 miles per hour for 10 minutes, but it felt fantastic. I went from the gym to grab a coffee at the Starbucks drive-thru and then went to Target, pushed the cart around, got a little bit more walking or a few more steps in, grabbed a few breakfast items that we needed. And it was like the first day where I feel like myself. This feels kind of like a normal day. Today I'm at the office, and so yeah, it's each day you start to feel more and more like yourself. The turning corner is at that 3-week mark, and by 1 month, you definitely start to see yourself being yourself, and the recovery really starts to make some monumental progress at the 3rd and 4th week. When I look at myself in the mirror now, I see myself the way that I've been through the majority of my life. I went through a very difficult window, about a decade-long window, and the worst of it was the past 5 years before this last year, when my son was in the worst of his addiction and we were really trying to get him the help he needed, and then he ended up passing away. And during that period, I just wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't able to focus on anything but helping my son. And then after his passing, it's the most devastating thing a parent can ever experience. It was most certainly the most painful time of my life, and I just didn't care. I didn't care about myself. All I wanted to do was sleep. When I did eat, I ate junk, and I just wanted to reclaim my life. And so I'm hoping to destigmatize gastric sleeve surgery because it has saved my life. And this most recent body contouring surgery to get rid of the loose skin has given me back the confidence and feeling of empowerment that I used to have when I was younger. Everybody has a different why for having surgery. I support anybody for any reason, and having cosmetic surgery or bariatric surgery, I think it's such a personal journey. For me, it was a life-saving journey. My health improved, my self-confidence improved, my mental health improved. So many things have improved on my weight loss and body contouring journey. I couldn't be happier to see myself in the mirror and not feel disgusted or hopeless. And so I just wanted to share that because there is hope. And, you know, I know not everybody can afford gastric sleeve surgery or body contouring surgery, but I think the most important thing is to take a step forward in whatever that may mean, whether it's going to the gym or improving nutrition, you know, just to take that first step. It's always the hardest to take, and it's the most important step to take. So things to avoid. So of course, as you're recovering from surgery, and I know it's hard if you're a smoker or drinker, but if you can avoid drinking and smoking, the recovery will be so much better. Alcohol is a poison to every cell in the body, and after you recover, if you bring alcohol back into your life, have it be very minimally if possible, because it can really destroy the results from weight loss and from body contouring. Not only that, it makes us act stupid. It's just poison. I'm one who has liked to have some drinks in the past, and I'm not saying I'll never ever have a drink again, but I definitely don't want to undo the progress that I've made by drinking alcohol. Hydration is so important. By hydrating, especially with water or something that's really good for your body, you're definitely going to help to move that healing timeline forward. And keeping your body hydrated is so important, not only for healing, but when you're on pain meds and just in general, it's great to stay hydrated. Avoid lifting and strenuous activity, and don't rush back to work too soon. Also, don't rush back to the gym too soon. I waited 4 weeks and I'm so glad I did. I just wasn't ready to do that prior to 4 weeks physically, mentally. I just wasn't capable of doing that. And I think, like I said earlier, you don't want to backslide on your recovery or damage your internal sutures. So definitely it's better to err on the side of caution. Avoid sun exposure to your sutures. I know after a tummy tuck or body lift or these types of body contouring surgery, people are looking forward, especially in the summer, to going swimming and doing those activities and wearing clothes that they maybe didn't feel confident wearing before, like a swimsuit. But definitely keep your sutures or your scar area covered from the sun. That will make the scarring worse, so keep it covered when possible. I think for me, good nutrition has been one of the most important factors in my recovery. So definitely don't eat that junk food. Avoid junk food that isn't going to encourage good healing. Get plenty of protein. If you have any questions about my surgery or recovery experience so far at 1 month post-surgery, please leave them down in the description or leave them down in the comments below. I'm happy to respond. And if you have any helpful tips, I'd love to hear them. Please comment and share your tips for recovery. I'll continue to share my recovery updates here and on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Just search at Gorgeously Aging. You'll find me on all socials. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing a piece of your day with me. I love and appreciate you all. Please be good to yourselves and to others. I'll see you in my next video.